Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and in this classic review, in this G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero video, this review, we're going to be taking a look at the Slugger. There is Thunder. There is Slugger. And I do believe this is my original one. I have two. One is underneath the aircraft carrier, or at least I think it is. I think it's actually housed underneath the aircraft carrier. I bought another one because, believe it or not, it was extremely cheap, probably about, 12 to 15 years ago. And all I needed was the hatch here and the gun. And the place that I was at, I'll just say, when I had looked at finding the gun and the hatch, it was going to cost as much as this whole thing. So I said, you know what? Let's just buy the whole thing. And then I have an extra one. So, whoever thought I'd get into like reviewing stuff like this? But anyway, I did. So here we are, and we're going to take a look at this vehicle. We're going to see everything that he came with. This is a one-person vehicle, although it is a nice size mid-range vehicle. A lot because of the big giant cannon. But we're going to look at everything that it came with. It came also with this here, which again, I always couldn't understand why they had a plow on it. Well, from what I understand, this is actually supposed to stick into the ground. So when it fires, because it's pretty much a big howitzer, it doesn't go backwards. That's why you have this grip right here, or the claws, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, and I always thought maybe it was a handle, because you could carry it like this, the same as the APC. But I don't think that's what it was. This was supposed to go back into the ground, and when it fired, it wasn't going to push it back, so it was able to stay in the same position every single time. But anyway, let's get into this. It has its 6 wheels. I want to look at this. We're going to take a review, but you know what? If you had this, let me know. I'd love to hear some stories that you had. But before we do, please take a second. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time we drop a classic review. All right, and so here we come to the Slugger, and I know how much you guys love vehicles. I think we all do. And again, this is not a tank. This is more a a 6-wheeled armored vehicle that is transporting a built-on howitzer. So anyway, you know what I mean by tank? This thing just fires up and down. All right, it doesn't actuate, but you gotta absolutely love the angle and everything that they've done to it, and then giving it a machine gun to go with it. So we're taking a look at this thing, and quickly we can look and see the different panels that are supposed to be on it. It looks like we got a nice door, probably an escape hatch. You got these 6 wheels that all look the same, and they all have this nice tread to it. So they always did something, made sure it looked like it had some tread right around there. You can see where the rim is going to be. On the bottom, you have an escape hatch, and they show you a bunch of different paneling, along with different rivets that are going to hold it together. But I believe this is supposed to be an escape hatch. As a matter of fact, all these little rivets are actually kind of sticking out. And that's just a little bit of the detail that they would get into. All right. On the back, we had what we always thought was a plow, but I believe in actuality, this thing comes out, and when it hits the ground, it's meant, and we can put it in one of these crab. When it fires, that holds it in place. So that's the reason why you have these notches down here. It's going to dig into either cement. It's really going to dig into the dirt, the mud, sand, whatever. All right, but you can see the nice detail on it. They even put little rivets right there. It could also be used as a handle if you wanted to carry it. I know I'm out of frame. All right, but I know I showed that on the beginning of it. Here we have your tow hitch, so you can drag around. Another howitzer, because who wouldn't want to bring a howitzer with a howitzer? Right? And then on the back, this is where it clips in, but they did a good job of kind of integrating it to make it look like maybe that's supposed to be some sort of tail lights or rear light, just so you can see it. I'm not sure this thing needs tail lights. I don't think you're really driving it out on the main road to get around. On this side here, we got what looks again like another escape hatch. I'm not sure, maybe it's just paneling, but you do see the panel lines, and you have the nice little camouflage to it. So you're looking at this green, and then you're looking at what is some sort of like dark brown green. I don't know what it is. On the front, you have another hatch. Now, again, this is where they kind of connected it, and they use this to be the lights. So this kind of locks it in. Those are the lights. You have a nice hatch here, and when you look at it here, it has the hinges, nice X right there, and there's the latch that undoes it and opens it up. Because obviously, if something happens up here, you want to be able to escape, right? Then you look at the big cannon. They made sure they gave you some ventilation right here. So this thing's going to be firing. Now, I would assume maybe this thing is supposed to retract back. That would make more sense. That you're able to retract it so you're not driving around with this big long cannon. All right. As for the top, we have the machine gun that goes on top here. Now, I used to always remove this, and he could walk around with it. Now, maybe you don't realize this, but if I do this and I do that, you actually have Gung Ho's grenade launcher. I'm sure a lot of people knew that, but I bet there's going to be some people that go, I didn't realize that. So anyway, you have this long barrel that's added to the grenade launcher. On the bottom, you have the grip, and then you have this really long stem that just kind of pops right into it. Here's your grip. You got your stock right there, and then you got some iron sights. Again, I always liked this, and I always thought this was a really cool gun if you cut that off, but I also could not see it as Gung Ho's grenade launcher. All right, so at the top here, I guess we look at it this way, it makes a little more sense. There's where you're going to drop in the machine gun. Right up there is some sort of hatch, and here's the hatch where he's going to sit out of, all right? So looking at it, he can peer through here, put his head up there, he can look right out that, and they did a good job of making it so he's not going to be able to, but they made it so you can look down into it. There's the hatch so you can open it up, and when it does open up, it slides out, and hopefully you can see into that a little bit, but you can see that there's actual dirt in there. But you can see that there's like a seat there, and then there is stuff right on the side over here. I guess if I have this for, you do have stuff right on the side here. So they actually went into detail on the side there, which is what they've done with all their vehicles. They do such a wonderful job. But this thing here has a lip, so when you did turn it, it dropped down. So you didn't have to worry about it kind of flopping around. This is not my original. I actually bought it just for, this and that. But if I remember correctly, I was scared to take that out, so I didn't bother. All right, here's the cannon. You can see the hydraulics right there. They're going to help move it up. And then underneath it, that's a lot of fun here. You can see that there's some design right there. Again, you can have your mechanics because you do have to move this up and down. On the back, you got a hatch here, another piece, and then you have the tow cable that's going to go from right here. And the fact that they didn't just like integrate a tow cable, they actually put the little hooks where it would stay so it's not kind of flopping around. All right, and then on this side here, all right, you can see this is where the gas goes. You have the ventilation because the engine is underneath here, so you got the engine cover. And when you open this up here, you have what looks like two carburetors. I don't know if that's what it is, but that is supposed to be the engine, and I did try and clean that out, believe it or not. Old dirt does not like to go anywhere, that is for sure. And then it just kind of flipped back down. Now, I like this one because it flipped up. You didn't really have to worry about losing it like we would lose so many of the other engine covers, all right? But all in all, a wonderful looking vehicle. And now as for putting him inside of it, well, I'm going to throw the gun up here. And then we can just kind of slide Thunder right into the Slugger, just like that. Okay, so now he's sitting up like that. All right. Now you can try your best, but without swivel wrists, it was always going to be hard to get him to point the gun properly or even stay up. All right. Because if he stands up like that, he's up way too high. But you can take the helmet off him, take off his little device there. If I remember correctly, he could fit all the way into it. You slide that over, and then if you do look, well, you can't because he's right there. If the light is in there, you can actually see the top of his head. So they did a wonderful job of creating this, in my personal opinion. This is not the easiest one to get the figures in and out of. I guess it's not hard, but, you know, just the way that he sits, it's hard to make him see through that. But, again, they did a great job of giving us playability. You could hide him in there. If you had his helmet and you obviously had his earpieces on, there was no way that he was going to be able to hide in there. I don't think that would fit on it. You'd probably knock him off and they'd be lost in there. Maybe I should shake this and see if there's a pair in there. But anyway, that is your Slugger. Again, this was very iconic in the G.I. Joe cartoon. They showed it off a lot. So there you go. I don't know what else there is to say. All right, so there you go. That is my review of the Slugger. The Slugger. They have the Thunder and the Slugger. I keep getting them mixed up. I don't remember him playing a huge pivotal part in the cartoon, but I do tend to remember this thing. They were just always driving along, firing this thing. And this is one of those things which, if I do believe, I go back and I look at it, what it was is that they talked about this, and this was, like I said, a howitzer, but you were able to portably drive it. That's why this thing was going to drop down. That's why it only shot in one direction. Now, of course, it does raise so you can fire. It wasn't meant to hit aircraft. It was meant to hit long range tanks, different things like that. So, anyway, I think I've talked long enough, and you guys are like, all right, I've had enough of this, you know. I don't know. Thank you. Please take a second, hit the like button, subscribe button, and bell notification so you're notified. But you stay this long and you're like, I'm kind of annoyed by you, but I need more. And that's great because you know what? Right up here is going to be Thunder, and down here will be a playlist of all the G.I. Joes that I've reviewed. Take care.